Wow, good morning. How are you all doing? Welcome to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. It's a beautiful day to talk about a very personal, emotional, and raw subject. And the subject is love at first sight. It's a beautiful subject. And well, who am I to talk about love at first sight? Well, I guess with the amount of hours I've spent sat down with couples and singles and people who are married, people who are going through divorce, people who are having affairs, and so on and so on, I think I've got a pretty good spectrum of understanding of love in its essence and what is love and what is love at first sight. And this subject is a really intense, powerful subject, and one which hopefully at the end of it may stimulate you in a way that maybe there might be something in this, or what a crock of rubbish. Anyway, if it stimulates you and makes you more stronger in your belief system after this, or doesn't and shakes your foundations, I think it's good. I think it's good. Feeling feelings is a good thing, because the reason why we feel feelings and we feel jerked, reacted, or triggered, there's something in that. There really is something in that. It's something we need to look at. And I think when you really trigger somebody and shake somebody's foundations, it's the start of something. It tells you something. If somebody said to me there's no such thing as death, and I started getting triggered and angry, that would instantly make me realize that I don't truly believe in life after death, because I would be triggered, right? Makes sense. So if I trigger you at something, then you've got to think the same way. You mustn't really truly believe in what you think, because when you know something's real and exists, then it is. Imagine you are a sinister person and you wanted to produce a chemical that would fall on top of everybody and create damage to people. You actually created that. You made that, okay? If somebody came up to you and said, this is a load of rubbish, all of that stuff doesn't work, you'd just sit there and just not say anything and smile. You wouldn't get angry, because you know you do it, because you know the truth. Well, it's a little bit like that when it comes to love, when it comes to emotions, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to all those times when you react. If you don't react, it means that you really truly know and understand. And most of the times we do react, we do knee jerk, because we're not 100% fully sure. For me, I've spent 16 years, as you all know now, in the company of healing people, people moving into the light at those moments, of being around people who I believe are in the spirit world, that I can communicate with every now and again. Not always, but every now and again I can feel them, and I'll say something to a client when I used to read, and they'll break down, how did you know that? Nobody knew that. Because they're communicating through me. And where did that come from? Well, it's got to come from spirit. Or am I picking it out of your brain, which is another subject? And the more interesting subject to that is what fascinated me, because I'm somebody who needs to know the truth, not just BS and not making things up. Am I really tuning into spirit? What really fascinated me is when I was giving information to a client and they had no idea. So how can that be picking somebody's brain? How can I attune to somebody's understanding if they never understood or knew what I was talking about? And then they would go away and say, oh my God, you're right, that the guy that I thought was my father's not my father, this guy's my father, and how did you know that? And these are things that I wrote about and have wrote about in my new book coming out soon, which it can only lead to one conclusion. There is definitely life after life, for sure, and I know it to be true. So when people say I'm a charlatan, people say you talk rubbish, I just smile, because I know the truth, and I know that they don't know the truth because they've never experienced it. So who am I to get angry with them? They don't understand because they've never experienced it, and only till you experience it you'll understand. Thus we lead on to love and love at first sight. So let's have a drink first. Let's put a nice rose quartz in front of us, an angel, so we don't get angry. In all my times of working with beautiful souls who were devastated with love, it came into me because they wanted to heal from the relationship. They wanted to find love, and they wanted to understand what love was. And they would often come, many thousands of people, and sit there. And one of the most talked about conversation is love. When you are a psychic, when you see, when you're a seer, when you are just a person who cares and wants to help somebody in a spiritual read, which I used to do, and healing as well. Healing sessions were predominantly what I did most of all, and I felt worked the best. So somebody would sit with me and they would start to ask me in a spiritual sense, what is love, and how do I know if I found the right person? My conclusion to all of this is there's no set rule to it. However, there are certain aspects of love and love at first sight that kind of made me understand that it's not what we are led to believe. And what that means is, I think love has been sabotaged. Love at first sight has been sabotaged by a way to prosper in certain ways, to make money and blah blah blah. But there's a kind of a devious side to it as well, and I think it's very obstructive, and I think it's very dangerous, because we get a mindset of what we believe love at first sight is and what true love is. We buy into it. Once we've bought into that, we settle for nothing less. And thus, I've often shared with you, the times that you met your true love is the times that you disregarded them and didn't believe they were, because they didn't live up to your expectations from what you believed what was true love, because you read into it, basically bought into that idea of somebody else. Where in truth, true love, meeting somebody, is a beautiful natural flow, and I'll explain why. So here's my interpretation of love at first sight, okay? You walk into a room filled with 50 people. You're all dressed up beautiful because it's a party, say, or you're at a gathering, a huge table, everybody's eating away, and you're looking around the room and you see many different people, women, men. You're looking at them all, and all of a sudden, you catch eyes on one person, and you may start to shake. You start to feel these feelings in your heart. You start to sweat. You start to, you're not able to speak. All of a sudden, anxiety, almost this urge of a new energy flowing through your body. Your heart beats faster. Many different feelings of emotion start to signal all around your body. So here's the thing. Now, don't get upset. Please don't get upset. Just think to yourself, okay, have an open mind and think about this logically, as well as maybe there could be truth in it or not, but just think about this. When you are at a moment when you know that your life is in danger, how do you feel? What happens to you? What happens to you when your instinct and your intuition knows that you are going to enter into a very challenging moment, and you are going to face somebody who is going to be really nasty, angry, or you are in a place that you don't want to give a talk, for instance, because you're fearing that talk and you feel all these feelings. This is the body reacting to certain situations. Whether you believe that is your physical body reacting, or whether you believe that is your spiritual body reacting, is something that we need to look into deeper. But there is a connection to all of this. Here's my take. I believe that we've got it the wrong way around many times. Not always, but many times. And here's my belief after reading for so many people. Our higher self knows everything. You can't deny that, right? If you are really in tune with your higher self, you have a gut instinct the first moment you meet somebody. When I was married, I often brought my wife with me to meetings if I was going to do business with somebody or work with somebody. Why? Because she had a great instinct. She knew straight away. Instantly, she would know if this person was right. We all do. We all have that instinct. Yes, we can be wrong at times. I'm sure we can. But normally, when we go with that instinct, it normally leads us when we're balanced and we're sure. Not when we're coming from the head. No. Different. When we're coming from a feeling, we just feel something. However, when we are at that very same situation, when we catch eyes on somebody and we feel and we think, oh my God, I love this person. Those feelings that you're having at that given moment are almost the very same feelings when you are in a state of panic and worry and unsure, and maybe there's going to be a problem and an issue. Think about it. It's true. You're just changing the feeling and you're putting the pieces together as this is dangerous. But when you catch eyes on somebody and you think, oh, they're really attractive, and all of a sudden you see the attraction because of the physical, but maybe, just maybe, your spiritual sense is saying, alert, alert, woo, 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 oh, don't go near them, it's gonna all go wrong, they're not for you. And heart starts to beat faster and you feel all these feelings, and you then change it around to it's love at first sight. And often I've upset people when I've said, actually, those feelings what you had may be an alert system that's saying that you might find that this relationship's going to be extremely challenging. And you know what? After 16 years of reading for people and those people telling me how they met and what happened, I have to say this, hand on heart. The relationships that lasted the longest and that weren't as difficult and challenging and were much easier were the ones that actually, when they first met the person that they were with, when they told me, actually, I didn't really feel anything. I didn't really feel, oh, my heart beating and oh, I feel weak at the knees. And I'd say, good. Because for me, when you meet somebody and real love, which is the connection of two people flowing in the same direction. If you said to me, well, I didn't really feel all those feelings that everybody else talks about, I say, good, what did you feel? Well, Mark, I felt like we were like brothers and sisters. We could talk to each other. It just happened. And I'd go, good, that's true love. That's love at first sight. That is the connection at first sight. That is a great foundation to work on. That is a great, powerful, there is no expectation, there is no need or want of this person desperately, and the feelings that you're trying to connect to that feeling of, oh, this is the person for me, I'm desperate for him. And do you know how many people fight daily, weekly, monthly, yearly with those feelings, believing that that was their soulmate, when all along it was your higher self alerting you to the problematic energy that surrounds them and you that will cause you these feelings that you're having. Now, half of you have probably gone because you think it's nonsense. The other half you're saying, not so sure about that. And maybe a few of you might think, maybe there's some truth in this. I'm not asking you to believe me. That's not what I'm asking you ever to do. But what I'm asking you to do is just listen to my take of listening to thousands of people. My first love, I actually despised. And the reason why I despised is because we were both aiming for the same goal. We were both hairdressers. And we both wanted to be the next hairdresser rather than cleaner and washer of hair. And we knew that only one of us could have got there, instead of thinking both of us can get there at the same time. Because this is what the world does. There's only a one winner. There's no second or third place. You either win or you don't. So I think both of us were thinking, who's going to be the next one? Who should be, I want to be faster, instead of saying, hey, let's do this together, right? So at first we were in conflict with each other. It took many times for somebody to say to me, and we used to talk, but we were in conflict. And then one day I remember cutting a friend's hair a client's hair. Was I cutting her hair? Yeah, because we both ended up becoming hairdressers from trainees, and we actually both were at the same level. So that fighting was beforehand. So then we both became hairdressers. And then somebody said to me, oh, isn't Jackie good looking? And I go, yeah. In my head, I'm still fighting with her, and we're both still competing with each other. Yeah. And then the following day, somebody else says, isn't Jackie beautiful? I went, yeah. And then I think the following day, threes again. Isn't Jackie beautiful? Wow, yeah, she is. And that's how we started our relationship. And then we were together for, I think, 7 years, and we created a beautiful boy called Nico. And yes, we split up, and it was the hardest part of my life, but made me stronger and more understanding, more kind and more caring, a better husband to my next wife. And my second wife was, I was at a nightclub, and my brother Robert said, there's a beautiful woman in here. And I said, bet you £10 I'll be with her at the end of the night. That's how ridiculous I was before I became a healer. I was joking. It was a joke. But yeah, I even say it now, but you might be thinking, oh, who does he think he is? No, I wasn't like that at all, but I just said it as a joke. Coincidentally, a girl, I used to cut her hair, was with this girl that my brother was talking about that I didn't even know. And I ended up asking her out on a date, right? Because she was pretty, but not I think I was drunk. Anyway, I knocked on her door, and the next day she opened the door. She looked at me, I looked at her, and we knew we weren't the sort of people who would have gone with each other. So I could see her looking at me, and I looked at her, and we both thought, wow, I've never been out with somebody like this before. And she thought the same thing, and this was weird. So there wasn't even a huge attraction or connection. It was just, oh, okay. So it wasn't the love at first sight. I was with Susie for 20 years. So whenever I sat with clients who would tell me about this love at first sight, I noticed a pattern that there was so much conflict when they did get together that it didn't last that long after all. So I put the pieces together that actually, I don't think love at first sight is what it truly means, as in the world has seen it this way. I think observing life and understanding it and experiencing it and listening to my clients, I think love at first sight is when two people without no thought or feeling simply come together and then flow, and then a bond and energy starts to create daily. And it's almost like a build-up of, oh, wow, I'm getting feelings now. And it's not like, put this scary alarm, and it's a beautiful, natural, organic energy, which I call love, true love. And true love, don't buy into this nonsense that true love is forever. True love is for the time that you are with that person. And that moment that you create what you need to create and do what your higher selves intended to do, which is before you even came here. Some people call it a soul contract. Sounds good, right? But let's say that you just agreed to do something together and feel together and to create together, whether that's the child, whether that's the feelings and love, or whether it's pain or suffering. And when you get to the point of that journey, and at the end of that point, you have to then go on your own journeys, that doesn't mean that that wasn't love. Of course it was love at that time. So there are many aspects of grey areas when it comes to love. But what I really noticed very fast is I needed to stop buying into what people were selling, which was this true love and these feelings and how I have to feel at true love and what true love is. True love is what true love does and how it flows in a loving way. The connection which builds up day by day is, to me, more of love energy than what people say love at first sight is. So if you have gone through, if you're watching this now, because there's no coincidence, if you've gone through your life and you've met somebody and you had those alarm bells, you call it love at first sight, I call it alarm bells, saying that's be careful, and you're still living in that energy. If you are still living in that energy thinking that I'll never feel the way I felt for that person, maybe, just maybe, I have helped you understand what this truly means. And maybe you're able to move on. And even if you don't, and you really truly believe that that was your soulmate and those feelings were because you felt so much for them, then I honor that. And whatever you feel, if that's right, then I'm happy for you. But then I want to say this. If it really was truly your soulmate, then surely, wouldn't you now be together? Why are you not together anymore? The bigger picture is that life leads you to the right places at any given moment. And if you're going through heartache right now, if you're feeling the pain and suffering of the loss of your loved one because you've split up for one reason or another, then here's a suggestion. There is a crystal which over the years has helped many people, and it's a very rare crystal, only found in one place. It's called cavensite. It's the crystal of forgiveness. And what that means is you don't forgive your partner as such as forgiving yourself. And it's time to move on. And if you don't ever forgive yourself as well as the situation, it's very hard for you to ever get on with your life, to move on. And your life is so important. It's so damn important that if you're still holding on to those feelings, you will never move forward and you will never ever connect in that flow of love at the moment when you are given it. We so easily push aside what is given to us because we feel that what we believed was true love and who we believe is the right person for me is actually normally the furthest from the truth. I told you a story once, and it was a story about a lovely lady who really bought into love at first sight. She bought into love at first sight so much that actually she was given her true love many times. There was a beautiful man who had just helped his grandmother because there was no way she could get up and cut the garden anymore. And he was a CEO of a company doing really well in life. And the only thing he hadn't found was true love because he was spending a lot of time with his grandma and working. But of course he would have loved to have met somebody. But nobody was there. When he'd finished working in the garden of his grandma, he gave her a kiss. He was a mess. His hands were a mess. His clothes were a mess. And when he got into the lift with this beautiful lady, he was a little bit of a mess. His hair was all over the place. His hands were filthy, fingernails filthy. The door closed and she turned and looked at him, but she never looked at him. She looked at his nails, his hair and his clothes. And she instantly thought, what a scruffy man. And he walked out of her life. She had bought into the belief that the world teaches us that the perfect person I want in my life is that of maybe a film, okay? The perfect gentleman, the perfect tight suit, the perfect look, the perfect nails. And what she missed was the most beautiful man, loving and kind and caring, that could have been the most perfect person of her life if she wouldn't have judged. So for me, true love should never be judged. True love should be felt. And at moments when we are so tied up and bought into this outside illusion that love should be like we read or watch in movies, that is what really stops true love. So that's my message today. Have a great day, guys. I hope you love Cavansite as much as I love Cavansite. It is the stone of forgiveness and helps you move forward when you are trapped in the energy of wanting to love somebody but they don't love you back. This sets you free, helps you let go and realize that you are more important than what you bought into. And trust me, it isn't about the first reactions of feeling those ways. I believe it's the opposite. Food for thought. I love you with all my heart. Take care, guys, and remember, Spirit never lets you down, and they will always bring the right person into your life at the right time, so you never make a mistake anyway. Take care of yourself. Have a beautiful day. From my heart to yours, thank you so much, and I hope to see you in Toronto, North America, on the 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th of April for the long weekend 4-day pure energy healing course. It's filling up nicely and I can't wait to see you there. Remember, you are an amazing healer. Let's bring that out today. Take care, guys.